the phenomena of Greek history is the extensive colonization which took place between the 11th and 6th centuries BC. The settlers, Aeolians, Ionians, Dorians, and other Greeks, built thousands of towns and cities on 3 continents throughout the lands bordering the Mediterranean and the Black Sea. Colonization lent a new dimension to Greek thought and led in time to the development of a civilization that would change the lives of the peoples of the world. The period between the 8th and 6th centuries BC saw Greek colonies developing dramatically into metropolises, focal points for hundreds of other towns and villages. The metropolises and the colonies maintained strict religious and political bonds. They organized joint competitions at which their athletes, musicians, and poets competed. Every economic, political, or cultural act on the part of the Greeks was based on individual freedom and intellectual independence, a situation unheard of among other nations. The colonies proved fertile ground for original artistic, scientific, and philosophical achievements, which propelled Greek civilization towards the ultimate heights of the classical age, and the expansion of Hellenistic culture as far afield as India by the Macedonian Greek, the victorious general, liberator, and deliverer of culture, Alexander the Great. Miletus was the southernmost of the 12 Ionian cities on the shores of the Carya Sea, in Asia Minor. Ephorus, the historian, writes that Saripodon, from the Cretan city of Miletus, brought inhabitants and gave the name of the city of his birth to the new city. Pelians from the Peloponnese settled here in around 1000 BC, to be followed by Ionians from Attica. The Ionian Arcade and Market, the Lion Monument and the theatre from the Hellenistic period are among the most important structures in Miletus. From the 6th century BC on, Miletus was the wealthiest city-state in Asia Minor. Milesians were to produce the first Greek philosophy, historiography, and prose. Prose writing is a higher art, requiring artistic maturity. In Miletus, Anaximander and Pherecydes were among those who wrote it. Up until then, Greek philology had been poetic in form. The Milesians built up an enormous colony on the Black Sea with 80 cities. Equally amazing is the Milesian colony on the island of Iris, modern-day Ireland. This piece of historical information has come down to us from ancient texts kept safe by Irish monks. These texts state that Milesians from the Aegean under Miletus's and Partholon's commands reached Ireland in 1530 BC with a large fleet. They there came across other Greeks, the Vanai. Having struck an agreement with them, they took over power. The Milesians named an Irish city Tara, the name of the ancient city of Tara on the island of Crete, their ancestral home. The Cretan Tara had an impressive oracle, on a par with that of Delphi. Miletus was host to constantly developing intellectual achievements. Cadmus wrote the Chronicle of Miletus, while Xanthos produced On Lydia. Hecataeus promoted history and geography with the great works History and Round Earth. Miletus was also the birthplace of Aspasia, the wife of Pericles. The most famous Milesian was Thales. Strabo writes that Thales was the first to write on philology, in other words, on the science of nature, or on the start of life and the development of things. Anaximander, his student, brought Thales' work to the attention of the world via his theory of the unlimited. In turn, Anaximenes was to be Anaximander's student. Miletus' heyday was cut short by the city's conquest by the Persians. The city flourished once again, however, during the Hellenistic period. distance lies the city of Didima. The remains of the enormous oracle temple of Didymon Apollo can be found there. The oracle was found in the depths of prehistory by Greek Lelegians and Cretans. The oracle was originally dedicated to the worship of the Cretan earth goddess, as indeed was Delphi. Due to its size, the temple was never roofed. It incorporated a total of 112 columns. The oracle attained its final form during the Hellenistic period, when it was extended to 109 meters in length and 51 in width by Paeonius and Daphnius, the architects. It was on a par with the oracles at Delphi, Dodona, and Ammon-Zeus in Egypt. The oracle's prophecies were of Pan-Hellenic political importance, since they directed settlers to distant places to avoid two expeditions going to the same place and coming into conflict. Foreigners, as well as Greeks, found their way to the oracle of Didymean Apollo in search of divine prophecies. Greece in Asia Minor has sustained severe blows from both ancient and modern conquests. However, it continues undaunted to teach and inspire human creativity. A forgotten legend tells us that it was the Greek cities of the Mediterranean and the Black Sea that gave birth to the heroic Amazons, and that when they interbred with the barbarians, the result was miraculous. Barbarians transformed into Greeks. The historical reality is that it was a time when humanistic, ecumenical Hellenism had embraced the peoples of the ancient world and was leading them in the triumphant procession of brilliant intellectual creativity, which would in time lead to the Renaissance and the miracle of European civilization.